Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. For those that don't know me, my name is Jen Taylor. I am the co-owner of the Smart Move group of Keller Williams here in the beautiful Howard County, Maryland. And today I wanted to jump on and make a video about outliers and the outlying market that we're living in today and what that means to you if you are in the market to sell or if you are in the market to buy. And I really wanted to make this video because I feel like we're living in a part of history that we're not going to see happen often. And I think for a lot of us, we're going to look back in the next 5 to 10 years and realize how awesome of an opportunity we are living through today. So I wanted to take the opportunity to actually make a video about it and about the thoughts that I have with what's going on in the real estate market and industry as of right now in 2020. So let's jump into it. And the whole premise of this video really is the concept behind outliers and opportunities. And it came from this. I don't know if you guys have read the book or have listened to Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. Really, it is a book on situational circumstances and how people throughout history have taken advantage of those. And it goes in and it talks about, what the Beatles and Bill Gates have in common. It talks about the hidden advantages of star athletes, why your birthplace, your family, your birth date matter, family, culture, class, and how all of those things and time and how all of those things impact where we go as individuals and how they can affect our successes. So let's reel it back in, and how does this all tie into real estate in 2020? So an example of an outlying market that I can think of in modern history that a lot of you that are watching this video will probably know what I'm talking about would be the Great Recession. So when the market all crashed back in 2007, 2008, we saw an outlying market. This had never happened before. We had never seen something like this in the financial and real estate industries. It was a negative outlier. A lot of people were impacted in a bad way in that scenario and in that time in history. It wasn't a normal occurrence. It wasn't something that was expected to happen. And you see this big tip in scale when you look back in history over, the rates that were going on during that time, what was happening in the lending and mortgage industries. And it was very much an outlying market. Lenders were not as, I guess you could say, conservative when it came to lending. That was abnormal throughout history. Back when my parents were purchasing homes, they had to pay 15, 16, 17% interest, and they had to have 20% down. And there were more hoops to jump through back then than there were during the Great Recession. I think a lot of lenders pretty much did away with guidelines. You could get no doc loans, you could get stated income loans. So just what was going on in that particular market at that particular time in history was an outlying market. Now, coming to 2020 and how this current market and what we're currently seeing can be considered an outlying market. So one, we've never really seen interest rates as low as they are today. The average going around and what my buyers are seeing and purchasing homes with right now is between 2.5 and 2.625, 2.99, but typically under 3. So you're paying less money for the money that you're borrowing. So the cost of money is very, very, very low right now. So buyers are able to purchase more, they have more purchasing power, and sellers, because of that demand and because of that desire for purchasing, your values are going up. So now we have like an even playing field when it comes to value and ability to purchase. A side note, just taking it back to the Great Recession, it wasn't the same. Interest rates were going up and up and up. Averaging probably like around 7 or 7.5%. So buyers' purchasing power was much lower. Now, values were going up at a crazy rate just because of the sheer ability to purchase, because of the no doc loans, because of the stated income loans. So, right now in this market, the lenders are still have conservative lending guidelines. Buyers are still very qualified. I think what we didn't expect to happen through COVID was buying strength to remain stable, meaning, people were staying employed. The people who were purchasing homes were staying employed. They were able to work from home. They were able to adapt to the new normal way of working, and maintained income. So, I said, or had a theory way back in the beginning of when COVID started that I thought this was going to be a great boom for the real estate market because it was going to force people home. It was going to force businesses to adapt to having just virtual work, people being able to stay home during the day and actually work, and less commuting time. That meant less overhead for these businesses because they didn't have to have commercial space or office space, which means they might be able to pay their employees more. So I think that we're seeing a lot of prosperity across the markets right now. And, I do know that there are still very high unemployment rates, but there are also very much high demand from qualified buyers for the real estate market specifically. So, I do believe this is a time in history that can be considered an outlier. I don't think that we're going to be seeing anything remotely close to this for a very long time. And I think once things start to move back up, a lot of people are going to be wishing that they were purchasing and selling in this point in time. I know a ton of people who shoulda, coulda, woulda back in 2007 when prices were high before the crash, 2006 before the crash, wish they would have sold then and not waited, because as we all know, there were a lot of unfortunate scenarios that went down, once the crash happened. So I do feel like we're at a peak here where there is a win for a buyer and win for a seller. The other thing that I wanted to talk about too in this video was how being in this outlying market impacts you as a seller and how it impacts you as a buyer. So as a seller, obviously the most simple aspect of this outlying market is going to be values. Values continue to increase and to continue to go up because of buyer demand. Buyer demand is directly connected to interest rates and the low cost of money at this time. So if you're a seller, you're going to be able to capture more equity and have a higher equity position when selling in this point in time than you would have a year ago, 2 years ago. And as a buyer, you can pay more for homes because you're ultimately saving so much money in interest on the loan. An example of this is, I'm going to actually add the link to the calculator in the description of this video, but it's on bankrate.com, and you can actually see that just last year the average interest rate was like 3.625. The average going rate right now is about 2.625. If you compare those two, the savings over the life of the loan is over $100,000. So you might be paying roughly $30,000 to $50,000 more for the actual property itself, but you're saving so much more money on the interest on the loan, meaning that your monthly payment's going to be lower. You're going to be paying less interest towards your loan. So as a buyer, this is an amazing opportunity to buy your dream home. Get in a home in general. The best way to generational wealth is through home ownership. So, I believe that the people who are purchasing today are going to have a great opportunity to pay off their homes faster and to have more equity when they go to sell. And, I do think that it is an amazing market to be living through right now if you can see it and if you can capture the idea of it being an outlying market. So if you guys found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share it, like it, comment it, whatever your heart's desire. And of course, if you need any real estate help in the future, definitely send a message or comment below and reach out. And my name is Jen Taylor with Smart Move Group of Keller Williams here in the beautiful Howard County, Maryland. See you guys.